Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay.
Let's see. One is kind of simple but important is if there is some measure or scale for PERMA for adults.
Yes, PERMA is measurable in 3 different ways. First, on my website, with 5 million people have taken, AuthenticHappiness.org, are all the scales of PERMA. So there's questionnaire measurements of PERMA. The PERMA profiler is excellent for adults, and EPOC is excellent for children under the ages of about 14. In addition, there's a sliding scale for PERMA, which young people can fill out. And finally, there's been a measurement revolution, not just for PERMA, but in general for psychological concepts. And that's the big data analysis of what you say in the social media. So when you have people's consent, you can take a look at Twitter and Facebook and measure changes in PERMA over time by changes in what we talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have 2 questions here that are related, so I'll ask both at the same time. The first one is, what kind of results have you seen in schools that are currently using the program? And how can I help, she asks. The other is, what is the major social politic in the major conquest in the platform of national education in the United States reached till today by positive psychology?
I think we have Alejandro here to answer this.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm in the presence of Titan, so it's humbling and intimidating, but I'll try my best. And positive education, the idea was born, in Australia very much at the whole individual school level. Mm-hmm. And luckily, we've been able to see that we can not only do this at a whole school level, but a whole school system level. Mm-hmm. From the municipality or county level to the state level, and in a couple of cases at the national level. In Mexico, in Peru, in Bhutan, tiny country between China and India. And we have seen that, number one, well-being is teachable in a reliable way. Marty was saying there are specific skills that, when contextually and culturally adapted, reliably increase well-being. And the second component is that well-being is desirable. It's first and foremost a universal human aspiration. It has intrinsic value. But secondly, we've seen that well-being consistently contributes in a causal way to academic performance. Number one, well-being is learnable and teachable. Number two, it's desirable and contributes to good life outcomes. And number three, it's scalable. And Brazil is perfectly fertile soil to take this to a large national scale because of the desire and because of the knowledge and the maturity of the science.
Thank you. 2 more questions that are also related. It says, positive psychology brought a new look at psychology. Well, what is still possible to research, and where is positive psychology going? And the other one is how is for Dr. Seligman. How do you see positive psychology in about 10 years from now?
Where are we going?
Yeah.
Well, in many ways, given that we can measure well-being, the question that then was asked, I think with considerable success, is can we increase it at an institutional level? And I think the answer to that is yes. The set of questions that are at the cutting edge for me are questions of how we prospect the future. So if you're doing psychology of bad stuff, It's possible to have a psychology that's about the past and the present. But what you're doing now as you're listening to me is you're running scenarios of possible positive futures. How do we make people more imaginative? How do we make people better prospectors of the human future? And that, for me, is the set of cutting-edge questions for positive psychology and for psychology as a whole. Psychology, I think, has been quite misguided about the past, the present, and the future. And we thought that if you understood the past, the study of memory, and you understood the present, sensation, perception, and motivation, you'd be able to derive the future. And I think that turns out to be profoundly, almost colossally mistaken, that we're very bad at predicting the future from the past and the present. We're not determined by the past and the present. Rather, I believe we metabolize the past and the present, the same way we metabolize food. We extract from the past and the present the nutrients that matter for the future, and we use those to create and imagine the future. So the science of imagination, for me, the science of prospection, is right at the cutting edge of psychology.
Professor Ruth, eu gostaria então de talvez mais uma pergunta, se tiver aí com o senhor já em mãos, ou então para a gente já ir para o encerramento pelo tempo. Agradecer antes de mais nada a oportunidade que tivemos de conectar esses dois eventos para conseguir realmente dar aí no Brasil, né, uma ideia do que está acontecendo em relação à educação e à psicologia positiva. Mas, então, eu gostaria então só de alertar que talvez mais uma pergunta e já vamos então encerrando só.
Okay, we still have a lot of questions, but I'll ask just one more, and the others I'll send you, Larissa, and you may eventually help us to answer them. This last question then is it's completely outside the scope of this conversation, but I think it's a cry for help. How is possible to apply positive psychology in a hospital in cases of patients who are dying and have an extreme guilt for things they did during their life?
I mean, I'll of course, it's just such a coincidence. Marty and I were walking to lunch today, and he was actually telling me this just came to him last night. So I'll let Marty answer that. And there's increasing evidence of the influence of positive psychology, PERMA, and physical health. But Marty, please.
Well, first I want to say I can't answer the question you asked. So I don't have a psychology of a positive death, and I think that's an important question. But there's quite a lot of evidence of the role of well-being, of mood, of engagement, of good relationships on recovery from illness. And so if one looks at surgical patients and looks at time to recover and medication, patients who are optimistic, who have high positive emotion, recover faster and use less medication in the process. So that brings a very interesting new profession to the fore that's never been done. And I'm going to call it the PERMA person. So everyone here knows some people who are sunspots, who their very presence makes your day, who build morale. Well, these people are often bartenders or mothers and often underemployed. I believe that these are an important profession for the future of medicine, that in situations in which we know that your optimism and your mood cause better recovery, we want PERMA persons to come in and make your day.
Thank you. So I'd like to invite here everyone, or to invite you first, Professor Claudio Rutz, to say some words about this meeting we just had, and then I will invite our professors here to also leave us with a final message.
Well, I want to thank you very much for participating in our meeting. Your presentations were very, very good. I think brought new lights and new ideas to everybody. I do hope to that we can have you again in our next meeting 2 years from now. But again, thank you very much, and have a good meeting in Texas.
Thank you all for all what you do, and we look forward to long-term learning, exchange, and partnership. And I do think Brazil has a special gift to give the world in terms of relationships that allow us to come together more holistically to move forward with these kinds of projects. Every time I work with people in Brazil, my mind is expanded, my imagination is expanded, and so I can't wait to hear stories of your successes and your work.
I'll close where I began. You are the future. Just do it.
And I'll just echo that by saying I can't wait to come back to Brazil. It's the most exciting project since the first one we started in Bhutan as a whole country. It's a place that is particularly fertile because of the culture. Society is so married to the idea of thriving and flourishing, but it does take a whole country and professional, committed, passionate people like you. So let's go out and do it. Thank you.
Muito obrigada, então, a todos. Sim. Eu queria justamente isso, escutar o retorno, esse aplauso que a gente sente que conseguiu conectar dois momentos aqui que estão com certeza fazendo história. E novamente, então, agradecer pela audiência e que seja então o início de muita sinergia, que cada vez mais juntos a gente consiga promover tudo que é o melhor de nós mesmos. Muito obrigada, professor.